Great. Well, let's get started. Welcome, everyone. As I ask, please type your name and organization in the chat. And remember, this is your forum. If you have questions, you can come off mute and ask those questions. You can type them in the chat. I will be monitoring the chat, and our meeting is being recorded. I will make sure I send a link out after it is processed. So I'm Allegra Elson. I serve as Director of Training and Development with Vibrant Pittsburgh. It's my pleasure to welcome you to our first meeting of our new fiscal year. In a moment, we'll hear from Mona Dine, Chair of the Greater Pittsburgh D&I Forum. The mission of the Greater Pittsburgh Diversity and Inclusion Forum is to influence organizations to prioritize diversity and inclusion, D&I, as a strategic imperative by attracting, engaging, retaining, and elevating a diversity of talent who will thrive in the Pittsburgh region. The D&I Forum works to be a voice to influence positive change in the areas of diversity, equity, and inclusion, share DE&I best practices, and be ambassadors for promoting DE&I. So it's my pleasure to turn it over to our chair, Mona Dine. She is the chair of Greater Pittsburgh D&I Forum and also head of talent management and corporate human resources at United States Steel Corporation. Mona?
Thank you so much, Allegra, and great to see everybody here as I'm looking at everybody typing in their greetings and their titles and their organizations. It's fantastic for me just to see the diversity of organizations that we have represented as well. So I'm excited for our conversation today, and thank you so much in advance for your participation and active engagement. So thanks so much. Look forward to getting to know all of you better for those who I don't know.
Great. Thank you so much, Mona.
Sure.
So let's take a look at our agenda. You're introducing yourself in the chat, and in a moment, we're going to welcome new members to the Vibrant community. After that, we will talk about Vibrant Pittsburgh's strategic plan. We will have an overview from Sabrina Saunders Mosby, our president and CEO. And then together, we will lead a discussion around the D&I Forum, talking about where have we been over this past year and where we're headed. And that's a discussion with all of you together. And then there's always going to be time for member updates, talking about initiatives, challenges, thought partnerships that we'd like to start, and any questions that you might have. So we are going to, I'm going to jump right in, make sure folks are getting let in. So I'm excited to introduce members who have joined the Vibrant community since our last D&I Forum meeting. We have over 133 members in the Vibrant community now. And so our new members are, as you see on the slide, Adagio Health, Arise, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Bridgeway Capital, CGI, Dress for Success, Evoqua, Homeless Children's Education Fund, Partner for Work, Pittsburgh Magazine, True Sense Marketing, the Frick Pittsburgh, and YWCA of Greater Pittsburgh. Welcome to all of you. We all look forward to working with you. I'm going to turn things over to our president and CEO, Sabrina Saunders Mosby, who will give us an overview of Vibrant Pittsburgh's 3-year strategic plan. Sabrina?
Thank you, Allegra. Hello, everyone. It is so good to see each and every one of you. I feel like it's been such a long time. And I'm sorry for that. I feel like we should be spending a little bit more time together, and I'm looking forward to doing just that. We don't know what these next couple of months are going to hold, but I believe that we will be able to find some intentional time to get together and to gather in person soon. So please look forward to that. I can't wait to catch up with you individually throughout the summer and into the fall. But I'm excited today to join you and share a bit about what we've been up to and what we've been building at Vibrant Pittsburgh to help continue to support your organizations and your individual growth and development, as well as the collaborative spirit that we know the D&I Forum is all about. As Allegra mentioned, I'm going to share a bit about our 3-year strategic plan, which we've just completed. I'm actually happy to say, I believe that Jeremy Shapiro is on. Jeremy was one of our steering committee members for the plan itself. So thanks, Jeremy, for your support in that as a stakeholder. But I do want you to know that this plan was a long time coming. So many of you know that I joined Vibrant Pittsburgh in November of 2019. And I always say that that was, as a reminder of where we are today, that was right before we learned of the global pandemic of coronavirus, but also before the death of George Floyd. We were in a different time than we are today, 3 years later. And I was inspired, I would say, by the moments of that time and what's led us to where we are today, to pull together stakeholders of our work historically, those that have emerged into this work of diversity, equity, and inclusion more recently in their journey, and individuals who have been impacted by the work of Vibrant Pittsburgh or that hope to in the future in this plan itself. So I'm just going to jump right in. We were able to begin, believe it or not, last September. So it's even been long for the process of building the plan itself. And during that time, we engaged an outside consulting firm to help us do this work, keep us all focused and in line. We had a pre-planning stage with our consultant and building our steering committee, a learning phase, obviously some ideation, and then around February and March, we actually began the iterative design phase for finalizing the plan that I'm going to share just an overview with you today. So it's funny because Allegra starts off the D&I Forum with our mission for this work, and rightfully so. But I do want to share our approach, which is more of a focus into our work and clarity into into that focus, excuse me. And that is that Vibrant Pittsburgh envisions a future where Pittsburgh employers offer inclusive workplaces that foster prosperity and belonging, making them a top choice for people of all backgrounds. We have refocused our energy, the way that we speak about this work, and the benefits and resources that we provide back to employers, where it rightfully belongs. And so I just want you to know that we intentionally are communicating our focus on our employers, our stakeholders in this work, just to be a reminder that we know that our support as a partner to our employers is how we really do make traction in this work. So when I think about our vision for the region and the collaborative nature of our strategic planning process, I think that it's about making sure that we are clearly in our lane of work, predominantly being not just a thought partner, but a futuristic leader, an advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion in this region as well, so that we can push and pull as much as necessary, and really be a resource that gets things done, and not just in a sounding board as well, and not just as someone that underscores what's already being done and what's been stated by the employee network and employer networks that we support. Our role is to accelerate the business community towards equitable, inclusive, and diverse workplaces, creating a future forward region. We know that we cannot do that if we are not using data-informed practices, as well as calling into question those practices that are not in line with the future forward region. That includes diversity, inclusion, accessibility, and belonging in practices and also policies within the work. I do want to share just some key insights as we move forward in the slides that we saw during this process, because I think it's really important. In the past, we have essentially been deemed an organization that tried to be everything for everyone. And I think we all know that there's an impossible, right? And so we did need to focus our efforts. You will see us hone in that particular space. So Vibrant Pittsburgh cannot be all things to all people. We did know that. And so that is clear in our strategic focus. We need to communicate our impact more effectively and collaborate with other players in diversity, equity, and inclusion. That means more collaborative efforts that build plans for action for the region that can be measured. You're going to see that for sure. It also means that we need to be a bit more flexible in our ability to deliver, which means building capacity of our team. So we are certainly looking to continue to grow so that our services and our benefits are readily and accessible to you as you need and you see fit. We know that your employers are motivated many times by ROI and in the investing in diverse talent. And so you will see programming efforts related to talent and talent engagement, talent retention, more frequent from Vibrant Pittsburgh and in the near future as well. But finally, one of the things that I think is really important for our region is for us to begin to tell an alternative narrative, to share an alternative narrative to the one that has consistently been presented about Pittsburgh. We know that there are challenges related to diversity, that we have a ways to go, and there's a ton of work to be done. But seeing all of your faces and knowing the stories and the work behind them tells me that we are certainly on our way. In Pittsburgh and outside of this region, it needs to know that and understand it more clearly. And so you will see Vibrant Pittsburgh emerge even more as a communication partner around an alternative narrative that shares the good work that's being done, the policies that are being implemented, the talent that is being retained, and those that are being elevated in a very intentional and rapid way throughout our employer base, excuse me. The slide that you see in front of you essentially focuses on the investments that we'll be making in this plan more directly. It is also connected to our guiding principles as an organization. So when I say that we're going to be more focused, we really do want to be clear that we're a workplace inclusion organization where creating a sense of belonging is the ultimate outcome for Vibrant Pittsburgh. And so I hope that you recognize there's a place and a role for you in that. And we'll be working with each of you individually to carve out what that looks like in the near future. Our goals are to grow our membership, to continue to grow our membership, but to deepen member engagement. And so that means working alongside our member contacts, our CHROs, our DEI champions, our EBRG leaders, and our next generation council members to make sure that we are maintaining an excellent member experience. Also, of course, to accelerate diverse talent representation amongst our C-suite board and public-facing leadership at our membership organizations. So that really does mean holding our members accountable to the things that they've committed to. We want to lead benchmark regions and redefining what industry standards really look like. So no more basing where we go and grow on what the industry is doing, but setting the standard for the industry, being the leader in it. Our index tool is one that we are very, very proud of. And in this third year, we know that we've got some additional growth that we can garner, but ways that we can utilize it to help move this region forward. And so we're going to strengthen that tool for you and for this region. I mentioned already the public relations strategy relating an alternative narrative, and we look forward to working with you to share those good stories and practices beyond this region, as well as building our organizational capacity so that we can, of course, sustain the work and also respond to your needs. This next year is going to allow us to spend time redesigning what our strategies look like to engage members, but members that are going to benefit the network as well, right? So that you have new insights to bounce ideas off of and to find ways to strategize, to find synergy and to partner with. That's going to be a part of our our goal for this next year, thinking about the network itself and where there are gaps and opportunities for growth specifically. We'll be promoting best practices for the elevation of diverse talent. We know that that is a strong place for us to focus this year, and it's one that is at the top of everyone's list of what needs to be done across the country, across industry. So we'll be focusing our efforts there this year as well, and hoping to provide you with the resources that you need to be successful in attracting and retaining diverse talent in this very difficult time that we're in. You're going to see us using data to get your insights, to gain insights about what is important for our region so that we can respond more appropriately. We ask you to engage with us by sharing data. We're going to continue to push for it. You will also see us become much more vocal in our communication, utilizing the amazing tools that we have around social media, to highlight our members, to highlight the D&I work that's being done and the leaders that are doing that work. We want to showcase you and how you are moving in this space and the strides that are being made as well. So we'll continue to share opportunities for you to engage in that way and intentionally build out opportunities for you to be highlighted and your companies as well. And then finally, as we are hiring at Vibrant Pittsburgh, we are looking to provide a more robust platform for members who are looking to engage with the diverse talent community and to build that talent community for our members as well. And so finally, when I talk about the importance of talent engagement, it's going to be at the forefront of our work this year. We know that it's important to our members. We know that it's important to our region. And so we're going to make it a priority for Vibrant Pittsburgh. So that might sound like a lot in a year, but I am really confident that we'll be able to execute on the first year of that strategy, and of course continue to build on our successes in the years to follow. We cannot do that work obviously without buy-in and commitment and support from our amazing members and you. I'm sharing this with you this is the first time that we're sharing elements of our new strategic plan. It was just approved by our board this past month, and so you are the first to hear it. I will tell you that I'm not going to monopolize the meeting today with fielding questions about the strategy itself, but I want to use this as an opportunity to invite you to have conversations with me about this plan and what it means for not only you as a leader in this work, but for your company and this region as well. And so I say that to try and stay on Allegra's good side and Mona's as well for time, but know that I intentionally want to follow up with each of you to talk more deeply about this plan and how we can work together to see it realized. So thanks for letting me pop in and steal a little bit of your time this afternoon, everyone.
Thank you so much, Sabrina, and I'm sure that this will inform our discussion as we go forward this afternoon. I'm excited that the D&I Forum was the first to get to see this after approval by the board, and it will inform our discussion going forward. So thank you very much. So moving forward in our agenda, I wanted to discuss with you a little bit about where we've been over the last year, 2021 and 2022, and talk a bit about, for those of you who are new, for those of you who might have missed, just briefly talk about some of the things that we worked on in the D&I Forum over this last year. So in June of 2021, we talked about cultivating interdepartmental cooperation for greater DE&I success. And we heard from Dr. Paul Spradley, Vice President of Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity at Dollar Bank as a guest speaker. And he talked with us about what activities could foster interdepartmental cooperation, and also keeping in mind that DE&I really should be integrated and diffused throughout your organization. It should be a department like IT or like finance. And so Dr. Spradley is working on that at Dollar Bank. And so it was encouraging to hear what he was doing there. In September, based on some feedback that we got from all of you, we started to have more robust discussions and discussion groups using breakout rooms and also using conversation anchors. So I want to express my appreciation to those of you who volunteered to guide those conversations, but also add to those conversations. So in the fall, we explored how you are approaching return to facilities in a very intentional way through a DE&I lens, how you created and continue to create equitable on-site work and work from home policies, and how you kept and how you continue to keep an equity model top of mind as you continue and as we all continue to recalibrate return to facilities and work from home plans for everybody. In January, we talked about the importance of data for diversity, equity, and inclusion because the index was opening and many of you participated in the index, and we explored how all of you approach data through a DEI lens, how you're thinking about transparency and how many of you are already using transparency and accountability around DE&I, how you gather data, and also how all of you can support each other with regard to data collection and transparency. And then in April, we covered the importance of talent development and pipelining, but we really also discussed that it should be talking about talent streams for DE&I. Many of you wish that we had a half day to sit down and talk to each other about this. And as Sabrina noted, this is of utmost importance to all of us. We discussed how you approach talent development with the DEI lens, how are you approaching your talent pools, your talent streams, and how you can support each other regarding talent development. And when I spoke with Mona about developing out today's agenda, she said very clearly she wanted us to make sure that we have a conversation about where can we have thought partnerships. And you may have seen an email from me earlier this year asking for exactly that. We're in this together, you're doing innovative things, and the way that you can share with each other is really helpful and informative too. So that's where we've been. And in my humble opinion, I think it was a great year for collaboration and also for talking about what the great work that you're all doing around diversity, equity, and inclusion. So let's spend some time today to talk about where we're going in 2022-23 for the D&I Forum. And of course, we have ideas, we're full of ideas, but we wanted to hear from you first. And I have my little list of ideas, but I'm going to hang on to them. And so we are going to use some breakout rooms. I'm going to use these 3 questions in our breakout rooms. But before we get started, I want to launch a couple of very quick polls here within Zoom, just to see where you are around things. So the first poll I'm going to launch, and I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you right now. So going forward, how would you prefer to meet? Virtually, in person, or hybrid option? I'm going to let that sit for a moment. All right. Thanks, everybody participated. All right, I will share the results, but right now I'm seeing the hybrid option seems to be your favorite at the moment. About 63% of you said that. And I'll share the results on that. So we can see 29% of you prefer to do what we're doing right now, which is virtually, 8% in person, 63% a hybrid option. So in person and virtually. Okay, great. And then I do have a second poll for you. Okay, there it is. So this is about your learning styles and how you would like to learn about and discuss DEI initiatives. So how would you like to learn about and discuss DEI initiatives in this forum? So guest speakers, moderated small group discussion, panel discussions, networking. Oh, and I see my typo there, should be thought partnerships. All right, thanks so much. So we've got an interesting spread here, leaning a little higher to panel discussions. I'm going to think that through a little bit too around what those panel discussions might look like, followed up very closely by moderated small group discussion and guest speakers. So great, thank you so much for participating in that poll. Okay. All right, so that's all I have for polls. I just wanted to get some ideas from you. So I'm going to ask you to be in breakout rooms now for about 15 minutes. And I have 3 questions for you, which I will drop in the chat. And they are, what would make the D&I Forum more impactful for you and your organization in 2022-23? What DE&I topics would you like to cover? Do you have ideas for new ways to gather, to connect, and to network as we go forward in this? So I'm going to stop sharing for now. I will drop these in the chat. And I'm going to create some breakout rooms, just so you know. I'm creating them very, I don't have any agenda around creating these breakout rooms. I'm just mixing you all together. I don't have, that's how I'm going to do that. So, and I'm going to make them smallish so that you have a chance to introduce yourself to each other, about 3 to 4 participants per room. And I am going to assign you automatically. Yeah, so we're going to have about 7 rooms, 3 to 4 participants. Okay, nobody is by themselves. All right, so you have your questions, and I'm going to open the rooms, and I'm going to give you about 15 minutes to 20 minutes to talk to each other. If you're stuck on who goes first, whoever has the shortest hair, that's who goes first, okay, and answers a question, okay? So I'm going to open all rooms. I ask you to join your rooms now, please. Thank you. May or may not have noticed that I stopped in very briefly in your rooms, and I heard great conversations, everything from, you know, involving your board or board diversity, networking, also policies and procedures, talking about checklists and what is working around policies and procedures, how in-person events can create connections, panel discussions. One comment that I heard that I thought was very interesting is that, you know, in these small group discussions, we as a small organization were with some very large organizations, and we're at first a little intimidated, but we're able to glean information and we're able to implement some of the things that we heard. So that was heartening to me to hear also that even though there are different sizes of organizations, we're able to communicate and collaborate and convene. So I'm going to open up the floor to any of you who would like to share some of your discussions. I'm not going to call on anyone. I won't be prescriptive and go through each question. We'd just like to hear, and I'm sure that the rest of the group would like to hear, what are some things you talked about?
Well, I'll start. We just started off just understanding who each of us were and what organization we came from, just to get a perspective of maybe where we are each in the journey. And Holly and I ended up in the same room, and we worked together, which actually ended up, I think, being a good thing for our small group, because everybody's in a different place in their journey. And you know, I think one of the things that first of all, we also appreciate Vibrant Pittsburgh. I mean, it really is our lifeline. As a smaller, privately held business in Pittsburgh that never really had dedicated resources to DE&I until this year, when Holly was appointed our VP of DE&I for Armada. And just really leveraging your expertise and your support and your advocacy to our organizations, because we all have to start somewhere. And if it wasn't really for Vibrant Pittsburgh, I think we would not be as far along as we are in our journey. And then really, you know, one of the things we talked about was I personally love when there's a specific topic. So I know that we've had, like when I was a conversation anchor, it was all about talent diversity pipeline. I think that was the topic. And so you could really dedicate your energy on a specific topic area. And then there were so many good insights that came out of that from everyone that participated, whether you were big or small or privately held or publicly held, and just making those connections with folks that hopefully you could reach out to then to start like building a relationship and sharing ideas. So whether it's a panel discussion, you know, or it was, again, the conversation anchor type moderator, just specific. So I think this group, you know, we should be sharing like, what are those topic areas that are important to us? And they may be all over the board, but gathering those topic areas and saying, you know, this is a great topic for maybe a subsequent call, because it can go in so many different directions, the conversation, you know. So if we can say, look, what this is all we're going to talk about today. And then you feel like you really gleaned some good nuggets out of it. But so that was a little bit about what we talked about in our group.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for that feedback. I appreciate it. Yeah.
So, and Marquise, I work with Partner for Work. We are new to Vibrant as members. So in our group, we talked a little bit about just benchmarking, accountability, and metrics overall. How do we make sure that we're tracking the right information? What is the right information? And I think the key thing, I think Lauren had mentioned within our group, I don't know if you all listen to Drake, but if you don't, there was a song that he had called Started from the Bottom, Now We're Here. So basically, a lot of us, we are literally starting from the bottom on this DEI journey. We don't even really know where the bottom is, but we know we are there. But we would like to learn from the challenges that some of the organizations that are a part of Vibrant, some of those challenges that you all may have had, and now you are doing extremely well. So we want to try to make sure that we are not only hearing the successes, but we want to hear about the challenging, those pain points, the struggles that was a part of the journey. Because again, as a smaller organization, I think we're going to run into a lot of challenges, limited resources, and we definitely want to take advantage of whatever it is that Vibrant can offer us as a workforce board. But we also want to make sure that it's not just an internal structure that we are trying to build. As the workforce board, we want to try to make sure we're also parallelly building this external structure as well, you know, in collaboration with Vibrant, with our employer partners, those community-based organizations that we fund. So that's a little bit of what we talked about within our group.
Great. Yeah. Thanks for that. Yeah, definitely. I think that's where a lot of people are, big or small, around accountability. And Mona had brought this up to me too. Like, what are the challenges? What are the pain points? Let's talk about them, because this is a place for that and a safe space for that. I'd love to hear a few more. I'm going to keep asking questions. So.
Lauren Wright, the Children's Institute of Pittsburgh. To double down on what Marquise was saying, I wanted to even take it a little bit further, because we're amongst friends in this group. I know that the Vibrant Pittsburgh Index is anonymous, you know, the data is given in aggregate, but I would really like to know about those organizations that went from a 1 to a 10. Or like, you know, like, and they can self-confess. I'm not saying that you all have to, you know, pull the wool off, but if there are people within this group or within the organization who are willing to say, we started from the bottom and now we're here, those people I would really like to hear from and pick their brains and get to know a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think there's been a request out there. You can all reach out to Lauren. You can do it privately. You can do it here.
Also, come to our report to the region. You will definitely make sure that we focus efforts and content on growth and challenge and how individuals change course to implement policy for intentional growth and change internally. So just a little plug. I know you're going to talk about it and remind folks, Allegra, but just a little plug for the report to the region next month.
Yeah, I'll be dropping a link in the chat so you can register. You should have received an email from us today around for the report. I see that some of you have already signed up for the August 16th event, so I appreciate that. So yeah, so thank you for that comment, Lauren. I think that's really important, and we've talked about this in this group around transparency and what are the benefits and what are the costs of transparency. But I think in the long run, we're going to see more benefits to being transparent with our data and transparent with our journey and what we all need to do going forward. So it's a great question. It's a great gauntlet to put down there, shall we say. I'm going to hold for just another moment before we move into any member updates and other thoughts, but would love to hear any other feedback from today's discussion.
I can chime in. We talked a bit about, as it was connected to one of the goals, we talked about how do we sort of change the narrative, right? Using Sabrina's words here, and really, start putting out more stories, authentic employee stories, and getting to know, sort of people behind the people, their backgrounds, their experiences, how they got to where they are today, better understanding those and really bringing those to life. So I know at US Steel, I was sharing with the team, this is something that we're actually starting to embark on, is to share some of these stories and just showcase the breadth of diversity that we have within the organization, and really start telling these stories.
Great, thank you. And I am curious, I know I said I wasn't going to go through each question, but I am curious about, were there other thoughts about new ways to gather together, new ways to connect, new ways to network, if anybody had thoughts around that? This is top of mind. I did hear someone say something about in-person events and how that really helps with connection, but I'm just curious if there are thoughts about different ways to do that other than our, shall we say, standard way.
I'll talk again. I didn't mention this in the group, but it's been percolating. Maybe a speed dating event, and really with those 10s. I mean, I can speed date with anybody, but I'd also like to really speed date with the Vibrant Index 10s. You can tell I'm really harping on that. But I think that would be kind of cool, just for a chance to have some one-on-one conversations so we can really ask the questions that are pertinent to our organizations, to make sure that, we're taking away what we hope to take away from each of the conversations.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What do you think, Sabrina? Vibrant Champion speed dating?
Yeah, well, I mean, in the group that I kind of bombarded, we were talking about mentoring, and I was just asking some questions about peer mentoring. And I feel like there, folks correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like there may be a real genuine opportunity for some structured mentoring elements of this particular convening as well, that would allow itself for things like that, Lauren, as well as elements that we've presented in the past with the Vibrant Champions. So definitely taking it in, but I think that Colleen, of course, Colleen thinks that mentoring is a good idea. Yes, absolutely. I got you on that one. So we'll dig in a little bit deeper and see what kind of format makes the most sense. And maybe, Colleen, you think you can help us out with that?
I was going to say, to Lauren's point, I think it would be great, like people who didn't score too great on the index, to maybe be partnered with people who did really great to kind of like help you get there and kind of walk you through it. I think that would be awesome. It's a great idea.
Yeah. And it may make sense. While I love listening to what these really large companies are doing, sometimes it's hard to relate because we're 600 people. We're a privately held business. We have one resource dedicated to D&I, but obviously in conjunction with support from HR and some other areas. But sometimes it's too hard for me to make the leap of like, oh my gosh, like they are light years ahead of us and we'll never potentially get where they are because we're just not organized that way. I love the idea of taking, this kind of company, and then inside of that, these types of companies, these people have a range of Vibrant Index scores. Like our score went up a lot because we put a dedicated effort behind it, but we also have customers and clients that we support that we take a lead from them too. Like we are learning from our own internal customers. Like McDonald's is our biggest client, and they are at the forefront of a lot of DE&I efforts. And so I think that's a neat idea, is to maybe break out large public companies, small privately held companies, nonprofits. I know Marcia works for a college. So that might be a cool way to connect and then be more realistic about what it is those types of companies are able to accomplish, because I can't strive to be like what, USX is doing necessarily, or a PPG, they're just bigger and have so much more infrastructure. I mean, there's learnings there for sure, but so that's a neat idea. I like that.
So I see and hear some great opportunity, and it's actually embedded in the way that we're structuring learning. I think, moving forward, where companies are in this journey and making sure that we're providing resources that aligns with that, to then move companies along in the journey as well. And so certainly we'll take that into consideration, Laurie, when thinking about how to pull people together. But it also sounds like it would be really helpful to have kind of baseline information and opportunities for folks to implement that would be palatable regardless of size and attainable regardless of size, kind of the pulse of DEI in the workplace, and what are kind of the baseline areas that people should focus on beyond our pledge. I think that we should, because we have access to that kind of information, work on presenting that to the entire membership in the D&I Forum for review and response to, just to make sure we're on the right track. Like, are these things attainable to an organization of a certain size with a certain capacity, or not? And why? And go down that path a little bit more intently.
Yeah, definitely. And I know that that's one of the things that I looked at when I was organizing the last meeting of when we were talking about talent streams and talent pipelining, is trying to put folks in rooms according to size, according to their company size. So we can also do that with some more intentionality, and then some cross-pollination too. So definitely great discussion as always, everyone. Thank you. So I want to take a moment. We have some time. Take a moment to see if there are some member updates. Give me 1 second. And by member updates, are there any new initiatives that you want to share? If you want to share any current challenges, but if there's any request for help, any specific request for help in terms around active thought partnerships, let's talk about that for a bit today. We have some time around that. So I'm thinking about, what's going on at your company, share any new initiatives, share any current challenges if you're open to that, and a request for help with active thought partnerships. So I will just, I will hold here and see what folks want to share. And I'll stop sharing my screen. I just wanted to let you know we're kind of progressing to that right now.
I just want to say.
I'll go first.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Fonda.
Okay. Well, as some of you may know, we are in our second year at Pittsburgh Regional Transit with our DEI initiative. And when we first started, we had 3 employee resource groups, one with women, veterans, and African Americans. We have since added LGBTQ+. We've already had one event where I saw Allegra there, and it was at Sisters Pittsburgh. We had a vendor table there, and we turned it into a job fair for our table. So we had QR codes for people to apply to different jobs, and it was very successful. And our newest ERG group is for fathers, because the fathers and the men in our organization were feeling as though they weren't being represented enough in the ERGs, and that they were, most of the things that they can participate in were not exclusive enough for them. So we added that one, and that's what we're doing. We haven't had an event for them yet, but we're working on it. We are partnering with Mad Dads of Pittsburgh, and I work with them on the Downtown Safety Coalition. So I met them there, and we're going to do some work together. So that's, oh, and we have a new name, Pittsburgh Regional Transit.
That's a new one for us Pittsburghers. It's going to take a bit.
Yeah, we all call you Pat.
Yeah,
we all call you Pat. You know.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Fonda. That's fascinating. That's great to hear. I'm glad to hear that.
Valerie, were you going to speak?
Oh yeah, Valerie. Yes. Excuse me. Thank you, Sebastian.
Yeah, I wanted to say thank you to Vibrant Pittsburgh for introducing our organization, Penn Hills Charter School of Entrepreneurship, to Mattingly Solutions. We are going to be engaging Sir Treese for some staff training. So we're really excited. We're going to meet with them later this month because we are closed for the summer, but 12-month staff are very busy prepping for our teachers' return. And so once all our 10-month staff come back in August, we're going to have some training, and really excited to have Mattingly Solutions as part of that.
That's great. Thanks, Valerie. And as you know, we have a vetted talent consultant list, and I worked with them. And when those of you who need the bigger jobs and really long-term work, I have folks that you can work with if it's not at my capacity. So please reach out if you need a solution like that. So
Thank you.
sure. Sebastian, did you have an update? No, you're keeping me in line. Thank you.
I like to wait. So, no, I'm good. No, I mean, for coming on from the for the YWCA, of course, we implemented our employee resource groups, which our first one was LGBTQR+, as well as our health and well-being, which is focused on mental health as well. So we have a lot of strategies that we are incorporating to build out the culture so it's more inclusive, from using pronouns to all gender restrooms. So we're making sure that we're make sure everyone's part of the actual conversation and dialogue as far as how we are looking at policies, integrating best practices. So, we're moving fastly down the road. And of course, our D&I program, I oversee that. So we're definitely underway and a lot of those things that I'm bringing on board to the YWCA Greater Pittsburgh. So thanks again for you guys, because that gives us a nice foundation to leverage as well. So.
Thanks, Sebastian. And remember, as you're heading down the road, take a moment, stop and see the sights. Don't go too fast. Just take a breath.
We try to.
yeah, it's important. It's important too to see those sights and take a moment. So great.
Allegra, I have a couple things.
Sure.
I'm Molly Bennett. I'm from Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh, and I want to thank Allegra and Sabrina both. I know you met with some other members of our team to talk about something we're very excited about, is that in a few weeks we will be posting a senior level director inclusion, diversity, equity, and access position. So more to come on that. I hope you will all share it with your networks. We're really looking forward to hiring this position. And also I want to thank you for the introduction to the Hugh Lane Wellness Foundation. Asta is on the call, and we were able to meet with Asta last week to talk about some training for our staff for our all gender restroom initiatives. So we're looking forward to working with them moving forward. So thank you.
It's great. It's great. Connections and convenings. That's also what we do. So thank you so much, Molly. Really happy to hear all of this.
I can share an update, even though US Steel, very well known, I think, organization. We've been making progress in our D&I strategy. We have a long way to go still, but after several months of sort of cajoling and things like that, we're actually going to be, hopefully in August, putting out our first annual DE&I report, which also will showcase our representation numbers, which are not fantastic by any means. So even getting those out there, is a big step for us. So looking, forward to having that out there, and also being transparent about our data and, the work ahead that we need to do.
Great. Yep. Thank you, Mona. That's so important. Yeah. Even if it's not great, it doesn't have to be great news all the time, but it can be news, and it can show what you're doing, and doing what you need to do. So that's great. All right, I'm going to start sharing my screen again, as if there's other folks who want to share, please do. But I want to make sure, that you know that our report to the region is coming up, and it is coming up on August 16th at 11 a.m. And we will be releasing our Vibrant Index 3.0, our report to the region, and we're very, very excited about that. I am dropping in the chat right now how you can register for this webinar. It is a virtual event webinar. We will be introducing the data and talking about the data in the report. And hold on one second, excuse me. I'm also dropping in my email and Sabrina's email so that you can be in touch. But I do encourage you to sign up for the webinar. And Sabrina and Laura and I are working hard to make it an exciting event and also with a lot of information. And I've had the pleasure of seeing a draft of the report, and I am excited about it, although I can't reveal anything to you right now. So any questions about that or any other news that folks have or want to share?
Allegra, if we didn't get any communication about this, so we're not on some mailing list, should we reach out to you if we would like to? Okay.
Yeah, please do. I would say it came out today via Constant Contact, so always check your spam and then make sure check that. If you didn't get anything, please reach out to me and I will check to make sure that because I was very intentional today about all the lists that it should go to and everyone that it should go to. As we said, we have new members and we have new members of the D&I Forum, and so we are working hard to keep up with that. So please be in touch. If you didn't receive anything from Vibrant Pittsburgh today around noon, please let me know after you check your spam. Definitely.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. So you have that link. As always, you can connect with us on our website, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. And we are always looking for hosts for future meetings that take place quarterly. Our next meeting is on October 6th. We have a host tentatively secured and we're making an assumption about an in-person event, but as we know, it's safe. We should never assume, particularly now in this time, but we have the host is tentatively secured. But as a host, you collaborate with Vibrant Pittsburgh and the chair of the D&I Forum to direct the content of the meeting. And you'll have an opportunity also to highlight your organization and any initiatives or programs that might be of particular interest to the D&I Forum. So if you're interested in hosting the meeting, either in person or virtually, please be in touch with me. And you have my email in the chat. So that's everything that I have for today. If there are any other questions or comments, I am happy to stay on with you. I want to thank you so much for this really engaging conversation today and your participation. I'm really looking forward to the year going forward with all of you. And Mona, any parting words for us?
No, just thanks everybody for your participation and engagement. I know there's 100 other things going on, and as we've been talking about, please connect with each other, connect with me if there's something you just want to talk through or have questions about. I think that's something a great benefit to having this group of colleagues, and that we can do that.
Right, and that's also why when I send email to you, I don't do BCC. You have each other's emails. You guys are great about not hitting reply all. Thank you very much. But you have each other's emails also, and that's also why I do that, so that you can stay in contact with each other. So, all right. Well, I will stay on for a bit. If there's any comments or questions, I want to thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you in person sometime soon. But in the meantime, be safe, be well, and have a great rest of your week. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.